Hey, it's me, Kyle Woodward, the beer ambassador. I am here in Corona, California, at Skyline Ale Works, actually. You see their brew house in the background. And I'm sitting with John Palmer, who's one of the premier home brewers. He's been around for a long time. He's very humble, but he's written several books like this one, How to Brew. And he's also done the one that he just did a talk about today, which is water, understanding water. And then he did one of my favorite ones where he did it with Jamil Zainasheff. They did together on brewing classic styles, which I don't have a copy of here to show you. But anyways, welcome to the show, John Palmer. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
I've been trying to get you on the show for years, and I'm glad that is finally happening. And while that's happening, we're sitting here in this beautiful brew house in the background.
Yep. With the fan going.
But yeah,
sorry about that.
Yeah, that's right. It would be good. But we both have a beer. So I'm doing the Vienna Lager. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Ah! But your glass is way bigger than mine.
I get that a lot.
The whole glass empty thing. But this is a classic style. It's very good.
Very, very nice and malty, not too sweet.
I get a little bit of the caramel malts in there. You know.
A little of the dark bread crust sweetness.
Yeah.
But it's not too sweet. It's not oxidized. That's one thing.
Oh, no.
This is nice
lovely.
and fresh. Yeah. Very nice beer.
So this is from Skyline Ale Works, and which is the best thing is that we're sitting here, and you can watch this on YouTube, and you can also listen to it here on KUCI. But essentially, how did you get started, John, in homebrewing? I mean, whose fault is it that you're been a homebrewer? Because I found out from Jamil that it was really his wife who brought him. She bought him a Mr. Beer kit.
Yeah.
And I was not aware of that till this year.
Well, for me, it was I went to college at Michigan Tech, great school, way up north. Not much to do except drink beer and study.
You got long, cold winters there too.
Yeah. Who wants to study? So you end up drinking beer a lot.
Yeah.
And a friend of a friend brought over one of his homebrews to the dorm, and I got to taste it, and it's like, wow, this is good. This is an actual beer. I didn't know it could be done. Had the little yeast layer in the bottom. You had to kind of be careful as we were drinking it.
Okay, so you're pouring it off. You poured it off until you saw the yeast coming, and then you avoided that.
Well, we're drinking. I mean, this is college. We're drinking from the bottle.
Oh, so
and but yeah, you could see the little yeast layer, and you could see it kind of starting to swirl up. But it tasted like beer, and so I knew it could be done. But when I was at school, I drank mainly dark beer. Stroh Dark, Michelob Dark, Wine and Kugel Dark, or as we called it, Bock.
Bock.
Yeah, that
Bock
back
beers.
then.
Good beers, I like them.
Yeah.
They're still Bocks, really.
Yeah. Mid-'80s. And then I moved to California. I mean, you see Beverly Hills Cop for the first time, you go, I got to go there.
Yeah.
But
that's funny.
Yeah.
What you don't know is my parents are both from Michigan. And my mom became a teacher, and she's like, I'm done with the winters. She got a job in California, and I was born in California. So
there we go. Yep, same for me. I moved out to California and loved it, but whole of the beer was like Corona and Bud Dry and Bud Dry Ice, and
you can find Coors Light and Miller Light and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I wanted dark beer, and so it's like, okay, I know beer can be brewed. I will brew it myself. And that's how I got into home brewing, was trying to replicate those dark beers that I had in college. Unfortunately, my first batch was an American light lager, because I figured my wife would like that better than the dark beer. And it was a miserable batch.
Because you didn't know how to lager at the time.
I didn't know how to do anything at the time. It was just like, pitch your yeast and sit in the corner and let it go. So from that experience, I wrote How to Brew Your First Beer.
Really?
It was a 12-page Word document, maybe 10-page initially. But, trying to circumvent all those beginner mistakes that beginning home brewers would make. Not controlling fermentation temperature, adding raw sugar to the malt extract. All those basic things that we know today, but really weren't talked about much then. And this is before the internet.
Should we talk about what year that is and date you, or just say it was before the internet?
Yeah. So 1990-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but yeah, I brewed that beer. I wasn't happy with it, and fortunately, there were bulletin boards in the Homebrew Digest and helpful brewers that helped me understand what good beer was
Sure.
and how to make it. And so I wrote that up into How to Brew Your First Beer, and I emailed that out to all kinds of people, even to Antarctica.
Really?
Yes, out to the Murdo Sound Station in Antarctica. It's pretty cool.
You had the email for the Antarctica?
One dude down there. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that was.
Because they needed beer down there.
Oh yeah. This was 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
But nearabouts.
Okay.
But yeah, it was it was very helpful. I mean, or at least it was very helpful to me. Learning to write and learning to describe brewing, and eventually people started asking me to write about the all grain brewing process.
Okay.
And so
I just want to stop for a second. I think it's fascinating that you wrote about your mistakes. And a lot of people take that as a negative. You took it as a positive that you learned from it.
Well,
so
yeah.
I think that's amazing, especially in today with like the entrepreneurial spirit and home brewers and then small brewers, and because every local small brewery is an entrepreneur and they're learning. But I love that you took that. It wasn't a negative. You took it as a positive. But then you were writing about it. But that first batch was an all grain batch.
no, it was an extract batch.
It was an extract batch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Extract and added sugar batch.
Okay.
It just tasted like thin apple cider. I mean, it was terrible.
Okay.
And the homebrew shops owners like, oh, this is great. And it's like, no, it's not. And so, I wanted to understand. I mean, I'm an engineer by trade, so I wanted to understand why it tasted like that. Why it didn't taste like commercial beer.
Sure.
And so just going through the process, because as an engineer, I know that A plus B plus C should equal D.
Yes.
And, it can be B1 or B2, but it still should equal D. So understanding, brewing from a process point of view, what needs to happen and why. What are the corners you can't cut and what are the corners you can.
I think that's key. Understanding that. I think you talked about that today with water as well.
That's right.
But we'll get to that. So go back to what you were saying. I'm sorry.
So that's why I wrote about it, because as an engineer, I wanted to help people not make the same mistakes that I had. And I wanted that first batch to be successful because, my second beer was awesome. I mean, it was an all extract batch, Cascade hops, and it was a perfectly decent American pale ale. And you can still find that in How to Brew. It's the Cincinnati pale ale recipe. I mean, it's just, pale malt extract, Cascade hops,
Sure.
and dry yeast, and there you go.
Yeah.
Good beer is relatively easy to make. Great beer can be a real challenge.
Sure.
Bad beer is also, unfortunately, relatively easy to make. But, it's not going to kill you. It's just not quite what you wanted. So I wanted to lay out those steps and help people understand where the corners were.
Sure.
That's why I got into it.
So how long, you started in 1990 and this was going on. We never found who do we have to thank? What's the name of the person? Do you remember?
Oh, no, I
anything?
have no idea.
You remember? Oh, anyways.
Yeah, friend of
you
a friend.
anonymous, you're anonymous, but thank you so much for putting
He
John
was-
on the path.
He was a dude in Kurt Hoag's hall there in Wadsworth Hall that, at Michigan Tech.
Man, we need to put up a plaque to that guy.
Yeah, a wanted poster or something.
Wanted. I like that. Maybe make a beer. Maybe we should make a beer.
There you go.
And name it that way.
Yeah. The Unknown
so
Wadsworth,
then you wrote this first, paper, this 10 or 12 page paper, and then how did that propel you into the rest of brewing and where you are now that you're, speaking everywhere and talking and have written these several books.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing to understand. It has been a year-by-year progression. I mean, like I said, I started around 1990.
So that's like 28 years in brewing.
Yeah. Around 1995 is when I started writing How to Brew, the first version of it.
Okay.
In 1999, I had finished it, and my publisher went out of business, and so I published it to the internet at the Real Beer page.
I love that you didn't give up.
Yeah, no, I
That's an
wanted-
entrepreneurial spirit in itself, that you didn't give up, because you could have said, "Oh man, I can't get it done."
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and at that time, like you said, internet wasn't even big then, so it was really hard to get something published.
Well, that's the thing about beer people. Beer people like to share.
Yeah.
We want to share good beer. We want to make this happen for everyone. I mean, it's got to be the most unselfish community in the world.
Yeah.
Maybe this and prostitutes.
And that was-
I don't know. But
Well, maybe they're a little selfish. Or
a
maybe-
little-
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
the free aspect comes in.
But what, I'm going to just jump in on what you're saying there, is because essentially what you did is you wrote this and you put it out to the internet. You gave it away for free,
Yeah.
and now we know that you're speaking and writing books, and I'm not saying you're making a huge living, but you're able to maybe offset. But for years you were just giving that away. You weren't making anything. You were just doing beer and talking with people.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's funny. The first year the online edition was out, and that was 1999 or 2000. I think it was 2000.
Yeah.
June that it went live, and after about a month, I commented to my wife that it was being really well received.
Yeah.
She goes, "Oh, good. How much money are we making?" It's like, "Oh, we're not making any money. It's free so people can learn."
Yeah.
And she goes, "What? You mean 5 years of ignoring the children and we're not making any money off this?" And
Yes.
It's like, okay. So hard copy followed the following year.
Yes.
Self-published, because I had talked to people that published with Brewers Publications
Sure.
and Story and the other publishers out there. And at that time, in that place, everybody had a very firm definition of what a beer book should be. It should be like a 50-page
Oh, really?
intro.
They were talking about limiting
Yeah.
just the basics.
Yeah, they wanted something that was very easy to read, low cost. And it's like, no, that's not what I want to do.
So they want more like a pamphlet than a book, maybe?
Right.
Oh.
But I wanted a comprehensive book. I mean, at the time, I was thinking, there was Miller, there's Papazian,
Yep.
and I wanted to be Miller, Papazian, and Palmer.
Ah, okay.
And so I wanted to write that comprehensive book. So self-publishing became the option.
So Charlie Papazian was a big influence for you.
Actually, no.
No?
I'm sorry to say.
Okay, that's
I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
Was Miller? Well, you just mentioned Papazian and Miller.
Right.
Were they any kind of influence, or
Oh,
just
yeah.
because
In
you're saying I
fact-
want to be up to that level?
Yeah.
A
No, I
publication.
mean, the homebrew shop I went to in Orange County, California.
And what was that called at the time? Because they're not around anymore, right?
No, they're not around.
Because I live in Orange County and we only have 3, and we have Phantom Ales, we have Windsor Homebrew Supply, and we have O'Shea's Brewing.
Yeah, this was before all of them.
Yeah, no.
It was.
When it comes to you, tell me.
I can't
It's okay.
remember. Yeah, I
So-
can't remember.
so keep
but
going.
anyway, but they steered me towards Miller. They said if you're an engineer, you'll like the more scientific approach of Miller versus Papazian.
Okay.
So I learned from Miller's book, and my first edition of How to Brew was really a paraphrasing of Miller. And then the publisher, which is Brewing Techniques at the time,
Okay.
they said, yeah, you need to learn to write better. And, in all honesty, they told me that. And shoot, after this much time, I fully agree. They also encouraged me to write my chapters as articles for Brewing Techniques magazine.
Ah,
And so kind of the advanced brewing column.
sure.
So, and that really was very educational for me in terms of how to write, how to explain something, and get it into something flowed that was easy to read. I mean,
Okay.
that was so key to what How to Brew is today.
That's awesome. So again, I love that you didn't give up and you took the criticism and you
Oh,
the
yeah.
critique, and it was a positive critique really, and you just made things better.
Yep.
You kept working on it. Even though your wife was like, "You're not making money yet," and it took time, but now,
Yeah.
now she's probably happy.
Pretty much,
I
yeah.
hope so.
Wives.
Yeah. But I'm saying at least you're selling books and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Right.
It's been a progression over the years, from the from the first edition, or the first edition online, the second edition self-published, which I call the Green Book.
Okay.
Then in 2005, I was talking to Ray Daniels at the Las Vegas National Homebrewers Convention competition. And he said, yeah, we'd love to work with you on your next project. And I said, well, I would like to revise How to Brew because there's things that need updating. Even today, I am still learning. And, as you learn, you look back at what you've written and go, I gotta change that. That's not right, So I wanted to update How to Brew. We did that in 2005, 2006. And then that third edition, which is the Blue Book, that was been out there for 10 years.
Yeah.
And in 2016, I started revising it again.
Nice.
Took 15. Took 2 years with all my travels these days to get that revision done.
Sure.
But I added 200 pages to the book, reworked fermentation, added chapters on sours, fruit, strong beer, bunch more recipes. I incorporated what I learned on doing the water book into it. It's a very comprehensive book. Right now, I'm working on a small edition of How to Brew.
Okay.
How to Brew, and I'm going to call it How to Brew Your First Beer. 7,500 pages. Again, trying to make brewing accessible.
Yeah.
Because all of us that are home brewers, we love the fact that you can brew something this good
Oh, I know.
at home.
In
just
the
a
fact
couple
that
hours.
you can have someone, you can enjoy it and have other people enjoy your beer with you.
Exactly.
Is like the biggest satisfaction there
It
is.
is. It really is.
Yeah.
Everywhere I travel all over the world these days. Honestly, these days I'm traveling like every 2 weeks, all over Europe, South America, Asia. It boggles my mind. But brewers are brewers the world over.
Yeah.
It's so nice. Everybody likes sharing good beer.
Yep.
It really is nice.
Yeah, I think that's what brings us together. Is there's this camaraderie of talking about beer, drinking beer, sharing beer. Really, beer. I've been saying this for years. Beer brings people together, and that's how I met you.
Yeah.
Was through beer, and I think it was HomebrewCon I first met you.
Probably.
I think it was in San Diego years ago.
Yeah.
But I had read your book and I had talked, I was introduced to you by a friend of mine and through the book, obviously. And I was like, oh yeah. And same thing with Jamil,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Who now is in the professional market. And I think that's a good maybe segue is, so Jamil jumped over to actually
Going pro. Yep.
a professional brewery with Heretic Brewing Company, which I love. And it's thanks to his wife, actually.
Got
Lisa,
him
right?
started. Yeah.
Sorry, no.
Liz.
Liz, my bad. Liz, it's because of Liz that Jamil started brewing, and now they're working in a brewery together. And she's a lovely lady, and he's a great guy. But you can go that route, but now you are kind of in the professional place because you do Anvil. So let's talk about Anvil for a moment.
Oh, okay, sure.
So Anvil, so you joined up with Blickman
Yep.
and made a homebrewing version of